Hello everyone, this is Paul Carr with the Ballcat blog, and today we are going to look at the differences between on-field caps made in the USA. The one on the left was made at the old factory in Derby, New York, which closed in June 2019. The one on the right, made in Hialeah, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Florida, recently. So many old school collectors prefer the caps that were made at the Derby plant. They just fit different. They feel different compared to the caps made in other countries. And the plant in Florida is somewhat replicating them at their plant, as well as also churning out caps that are identical to the ones made overseas. Let's take a look. So the cap made in Derby is made with a very soft polyester. Feels good to the touch. Derby caps also are known for their button that clicks. And they're not very stiff. They have kind of a very soft crown. They kind of feel like almost like they're made like a pair of denim jeans. That's what I'd compare them to, feel-wise. And then, as we see here, here's the Made in USA tag. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus a little better. There we go. Made in USA. And then, as you can see on the back of the tags, they have this white stitching. And that's how we know for sure it was made in Derby. If you look at any Made in USA caps made at the old Derby plant, they have that, or for at least the last 10 years, they have that white stitching on the back of the tags. Another thing about Made in USA caps is this white band behind the cap. It has sizes stamped on it, basically. And that's what the workers use to make sure that they're manufacturing them at the correct size. You can see there's size 7, 7 1/8, 7 1/4. This is a 7 3/8. So it's always this solid white band with blue ink on it. If you look at the caps made overseas, where it's China, Haiti, Bangladesh, Laos, Vietnam, they will have kind of a perforated white band with brown ink. Some of the Chinese caps that are older have, aside from brown, they have black or gray. Those are all the colors that I've seen. So, as for the crown shape, it's a little more pointed at the top. A lot of people who don't like the Made in USA caps kind of blame the way they're made, the shape they don't like. It's not as round. And sometimes the top of the crown can be a little lumpy or lopsided on one side. Especially the last few years the factory was open. The factory was basically in charge of rush orders, so QC kind of went out the window a little bit towards the end. Now we look at the one made in Hialeah, Florida. And as you can see, the crown is a little bit rounder. As I pick it up, the fabric's a little different. It almost feels like cotton or canvas, but it is 100% polyester. Now, for those of you that don't know, when the Derby, New York factory closed, New Era actually sold all of their cap manufacturing equipment in an auction. And then they said that they were hiring contractors in Florida to assemble the new team issue only caps. These are not being made for retail, although I've been told about 2% make it out to retail. I have seen, for example, Made in USA 2020 brown and yellow Padres at stores like Lids. Not very often, but they do show up. But primarily the ones being made in Florida now are only being sent to teams for player use and not to be sold in stores. I purchased this directly from the Giants, and it is actually authenticated to Game 5 of the 2021 NLDS. So, yeah, as I was saying, the crown's a little bit rounder, fabric's a little bit different. This does have a clicking button, just like the ones made at Derby. The visor is the exact same size when I measured it. Sometimes the caps made overseas have slightly smaller visors than the ones made in USA. And as you can see, I'll flip this over. This has the exact same style of Made in USA tag. They got super long for some reason. And then you'll notice when I flip the sweatband back that the white stitching is not there like they did at the Derby plant. And even on the rest of the tags, I put the authentication sticker on the back of the size tag as well. And then these also, again, unique to Made in USA caps, they have the white size band with the blue ink. So like I said earlier, there have been some made in Hialeah that have the perforated brown size band with brown ink, or the perforated white size band with brown ink. And those are actually made a bit different. They don't have clicking buttons or anything like that. They very much represent the caps made overseas. So from what I was told, those caps that are made that way are basically the crowns and visors and sweatbands which are made overseas and shipped to Florida, and then they just stitch the three parts together. The embroidery is already done overseas and everything. And that way they're able to label it Made in USA. And that's hardly Made in USA if you ask me. But it appears that perhaps New Era's contractor in Florida that assembles the player-issued caps, perhaps they bought some of New Era's manufacturing equipment that was sold in the auction. The only major difference between these two is the crown shape and the fabric. It looks like the embroidery is pretty much exactly the same. They have the buttons that click. The ones made overseas do not have those buttons. The visors are exactly the same size. So it's, I definitely prefer the old Derby caps. They're very comfortable. But to be honest, I haven't worn these team-issued styles made in Florida very often. So it's a bit too early to judge. But the fabric on the Derby ones, I'd say, is much nicer. So there you go. There is the comparison between the two USA-made team-issued style MLB on-field caps.